What's up, y'all? What's up, world? This is Quan reporting live from the underground, the underdog from the underground. I'm with my good bro, my brother, Dr. Jeffery Hampton
What's up,
in
man?
the building.
What's up?
We have a lot to get into, so we're not going to waste any time, brother.
Let's get into it.
We want to have, the premise of this whole podcast is to have familiar conversation with unfamiliar faces, to enlighten, empower, and educate. That's the main thing that we're trying to do here. Yep. All right, galvanize the masses. All right, provoke thought, create positive energy. That's what we're striving for.
Yes, sir.
So Jeff, if you could do me a big one.
What's up?
Tell the world what it is that you do.
What's up, world? My name is Jeffery Hampton. I am from Biloxi, Mississippi. I'm a physical therapist here at Neolife Physical Therapy and Wellness. I did my undergrad at the University of Mississippi, Ole Miss. I don't say hotty toddy because go dogs, Georgia, that is. I went to PT school at UMC, University of Mississippi Medical Center in Jackson, Mississippi. I did that for 3 years, and now I'm here working as a physical therapist. And so I'm from this area. I went to D'Iberville High School. I know Quan really, really well. I met him when I was a tech here prior to PT school. He showed me a lot. There were a couple quotes that I hold on to this day that he's given me. And, you know, they've really helped me throughout the process, you know, whether that's spiritually, mentally, or physically. Love this guy to death. And I'm excited to talk to him today. Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. That means a lot to me. So what we do is, in a sense, like we said, unfamiliar conversation with familiar faces or vice versa. So with that, you've walked the path less tread.
Sure.
No, not a lot of people walk that walk, take that journey to go into the atmosphere in which you inhabit.
Yep.
So with that being said, how do we engage in a more competent approach to cultural values and treatment? Because like I have a stat right here that says the U.S. Census has projection that the black population will take up over 15% of the U.S. population. People are living longer. We really emphasize quality over quantity, but now the quantity, we emphasize quality over quantity, and now people are living longer in regards to quantity. So how do we match with that quality, but also from a representation standpoint with the black population living much longer and they're trying to build a better relationship. So how do you feel in regards to like your position and creating a new dialogue in regards to healthcare with the black population?
So that's good question.
I know that was a lot.
No, good question.
Dang.
So essentially, man, you know, I grew up in a Filipino household, right? And within my community, it was pretty diverse, right?
Yes.
Despite it being D'Iberville, it was very diverse. It changed a lot to an extent, but it really changed when I got past undergraduate. Right?
Yeah.
You know, love the universities that I went to, but, you know, time after time, you know, you definitely see a lot lower of a percentage of minorities in healthcare, right?
Yes.
In schools, right? And so I think that's a tall task on my end. I always thought it was a tall task, but the beauty in it is it's only improving today, right?
Yeah.
But I always felt the need to walk with a very high regard to help, you know, establish a good sort of identity through the eyes of people that might not understand, right?
Yes, sir.
Does that make sense?
Yes, very much so.
So I think it's super important, you know, that throughout these doctoral programs, throughout undergrad, that we kind of have to walk the walk a little bit more, right? Because there's this scenario that a lot of people don't quite understand where I feel like you're being perceived a little bit differently.
Yes.
And you have to earn that trust a little bit more, right? Now, I'm not speaking for everybody here.
Yeah.
But there is this little ounce of difference when it comes to stepping on stage, whether that's presenting, whether that's formally talking to a professor, right?
Yes.
Whether that's, just presenting with a big body of individuals, right?
Yeah.
When it gets to you, it almost feels like the spotlight is on you. Like, how is this person going to perform?
Yes.
Right? Are they going to perform as well? So, luckily I was raised by a good mom, a good family
Yes,
that held me down. They saw the purpose in me, but they saw what I could be.
Yeah.
And being that I am the first person in my family to have a bachelor's degree.
Come on now.
And even get this far with a doctor of physical therapy degree.
Come on now.
It's a really cool thing to experience though, but I think it comes with a lot of accountability at the same time too, because I now have little cousins that are in sort of my positions, right?
Yeah.
And everybody wants to be a physical therapist. Jeff, how do I do this? How do I do that? So I have to be that person for them, right? But I also have to have the tough conversations with them as well, right?
Yes.
And it's conversations that everybody doesn't have to have with everybody, right? It's conversations that we know of where like, hey, look, you're going to get looked at a little bit differently, right?
Yes.
So you have to be able to exude yourself in a way that earns these people's trust, where they see you in a light that they didn't quite think was possible. And again, I'm not speaking for everybody, but it's always specific scenarios throughout my life where I'm getting talked to, and you almost feel like you're getting talked down to.
Yeah.
It might be in the tone of voice, right? Their expressions, or whatever it may be, but everybody doesn't deal with that, so not everybody understands that, right? And that's the conversation that you kind of have, right, with people that want to walk the path that you walk through, right?
Yes.
And I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I've lived through it.
Yeah.
Right. And I've experienced it. So there's definitely a lot that comes with it. And, at the end of the day, I just try to be the best person I can be, the best version of me I can be,
Yeah.
But I'm still learning to this day.
And you continue to do that, bro.
Yeah.
You continue to do that at a high level. What I want to spin off on that was that you have this uncanny ability to, I guess, like take away expectations, because people will have preconceived notions.
Yep.
Especially like when me and Justin roam these halls.
Yep.
For the most part, like they'll see us and they'll be looking for this, look for that, and then we didn't. So like for the longest in discharge pictures, I would not smile. But whenever they first came in the building, I had the biggest personality. They were like, "Oh man, I wasn't expecting that."
Right.
Like from your posture to be so much joy and stuff like that.
Yep.
You your ability to connect and go for the person opposed to like the end result, I guess, is one of the things what I feel like could penetrate that culture, penetrate the psyche, the heart, the soul of many others whenever they see Dr. Jeffery Hampton and they have this preconceived notion where what they're looking for, and then you're not what they expect.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing I learned throughout the process. Like everything is personable, right? And it's always about creating a personal experience with the patient at the end of the day.
Oh, man.
I can't tell you how many times patients just love hugs, right? I have this funny little conversation with patients on the first visit, mainly female patients, right? But, like, hey, I'm a big hugger, right? And they always love that, And I think that's a part of it. If you can create a more personable approach with the patient, that helps outcomes, right? That gets them wanting to come back. But also, too, it eliminates the having to try to earn it so much, right?
Yeah.
If you can develop that personable relationship with somebody, a lot of times they're going to click and trust you a little bit more, right? And it's a very passive thing, right? You don't quite realize how much it means to people until you do it for a while. You know what I mean? So, and I've even had patients just say like, hey man, like, I went to therapy before, but they don't give hugs like you, right? Or they don't ask me how my day was, right? So on the first day, I'm like, hey, look, I'm here to help you physically, right?
Yeah.
But it's a mental process as well. And a part of it's a spiritual process as well, right?
Yes, indeed,
so I
man.
keep telling them like, look, I'm going to be here for you in every aspect of life, right? I know we're in here to get stronger, more flexible, eliminate pain, but it's a big mental hurdle, right? So if you ever need a vent session, if you need to talk to me, and just establishing that like family dynamic, right?
There we go.
That moral support, I think that helps a lot, right?
Oh man.
But yeah, man, it's it comes with a lot, but you know, I've learned that you can't try so hard. So you can't try so hard, because at the end of the day, you might be pushing yourself away from a patient the harder you try, right?
So
and that aspect of things, like you're trying to gain the trust order.
All right. So I'm gonna go back a little bit on that process of the journey that got you here.
Sure.
So we're looking here, and I see that it's a stat that says fewer than 4% of PT are black, or of minority. You know, in that sense. So with the sense that PT representation has been a big hurdle.
Yep.
How do you think you, as being a pillar of this profession, since its existence, like is it like diversity has been an ordeal, but it's one of the fastest growing.
Yep.
So how do you feel as being a pillar? How do you think we could combat that as not just an individual, but just as a company in its entirety? How you think we could better that situation?
I think it starts at a young age. I think it starts at the schools. You know, I think shifting their mindset about certain things in life now helps a lot. A lot of times now you see with a lot of these programs, they're trying to improve their diversity within their class, right?
Yeah.
I think in my PT class, we were 51 people. Okay. And maybe 6 of us were, or 6 or 7 of us were minorities.
So a lot of times in class, you were the only one.
A lot of times, man. A lot of times. There was a select few. So, but also too,
damn,
I think learning how to respect, right? Respect older people at a young age is super, super important. And here's why I think that would help within the PT community, right? If you can get them to learn how to establish a better connection through your respect, right? That can help you throughout your process of undergraduate school, making your way into like a PT program or anything like that a lot easier, because you are able to talk to. It's all communication at the end of the day. I think that's a big barrier, right? Is the communication.
Ooh, okay.
You know?
Yes.
Because there's a preconceived notion of like what the communication is going to consist of when it comes to a minority person. Like, you know, like, they talk a certain way, or they sound funny, right? Or they might not be able to articulate what they want to say, stuff like that, right? And I was just having this conversation with Austin. Communication's a big thing, right? And communication is a skill. And I think that's a barrier, right? Because first impressions are everything, right? To change it in PT school, you have to be able to apply, but you have to be able to get that interview. Because it's easy to get that interview, but you have to talk at that interview. And you got to be able to talk to be able to represent yourself well, to help persuade these people, hey, I would be a good student for your program, and I would be a good asset to any PT facility in the future, right? And so I think that's the barrier, right? That communication, getting to them at an early age in these schools, right? And help talk them through the process of just respect, communication. That's where it all starts. First impressions means everything, right? Because once you can reach that, that's the issue, right? So that's what I tell a lot of these support staff, especially the ones that are like in the process of getting into PT school. Once you get into PT school, the competition's over. Once you're in, you're in. Once you're in, you're in. Right. A lot of times they're worried about GPA. They're looking at your prerequisite GPA. What are you doing voluntarily, right? So are you helping at soup kitchens? Are you helping with anything, right?
Any volunteer work.
Any volunteer work, right? And but they're so fixed on that, and it matters, right? But a lot of times, I could give you a resume for somebody, and you might look at that thing and be like, no, that's okay. But once you actually sit down and talk to this person, that's where things shift, right? And that's where things matter.
Yes.
And I think that's I think that's probably, it might not be the only barrier, but I think it's a big thing that contributes to it, in my opinion.
So you think like the process, you think the recruiting process in regards from not necessarily the student, but the schools. You think their process needs to be better in regards to like learning the people more opposed to like looking at these numbers and these sheets that could be fluctuated.
Yeah.
I mean,
or even taking it upon us to go into these schools and be able to speak to minorities, right? And be able to say, hey, look, man, like we got to be able to talk, right? Like you have a certain way that you talk to your friends, but that is not the way you want to talk to a professor to get into PT school.
Yes, indeed.
Right? Or to get into a program.
Yeah.
Right. And, there's you just have to hold yourself to a higher representation in that respect. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it all starts, and
public speaking.
I mean, yeah,
Public speaking.
Yeah.
Love that class. Communication, writing, literature.
Yep.
You got to be able to. Yes. Okay. Cool, man.
But I think what's up?
I knew it, bro. When he brewing, when he cooking, man. My man cooking. Go ahead, Joe.
Like I think the whole collective ordeal, right, is the communication aspect is just a piece of the puzzle. Are there other ways that we could help things out? Yes, but I think that's a big piece.
Yeah.
That is a big piece.
Okay. All right, and we'll end it with this. So, give me your top 5 Georgia Bulldogs.
Okay. Number 1, Herschel Walker.
Talk to me. Okay.
Easy.
Okay.
Number 2, I would probably have to say Todd Gurley was iconic. Love Todd Gurley.
Okay.
Number 3, Matthew Stafford. Right. So we got Herschel, Todd Gurley, Matthew Stafford.
Yes, indeed.
I'm going to have to go AJ Green next. He did a lot of good things for the Dogs.
Okay, my man been doing his work.
And the last one's tough. Last one's tough because it's between Aaron Murray and Stetson. And the reason why I don't have Stetson up on that pedestal, yes, he won us 2 national championships.
Stentavious.
You got to respect that. And I think that's the way. That's the reason why I shift him to number 5 over Aaron Murray.
Yeah.
But Aaron Murray, stat-wise, dude, he lit up the field.
Yeah.
He lit up the field. And he was one of the most accurate passers I've ever seen at Georgia. He might have not had the arm, but he was super accurate.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Herschel, Todd,
Talk to me.
Matthew Stafford. We're going to go AJ Green, and then my boy Staquavius Bennett.
All right, my man. All right, y'all. This is the Savage Mountain Podcast, and we're going to call it on that, okay?
Sweet. All right, brother. It was a pleasure.
Back.